She loved you, you know, Amy said. He was crying a little. They both were. He shook his head. I don't know that she did. Perhaps not the way you wanted, but it was the way she knew how. Amy drew back a little and placed a hand to his cheek. Hold on to that, Michael.
Iron Rule of Tomassi number 6. Women are utterly incapable of loving a man in a way that a man expects to be loved. In its simplicity, this speaks volumes about the condition of men. It accurately expresses a pervasive nihilism that men must either confront and accept, or be driven insane in denial for the rest of their lives when they fail to come to terms with the disillusionment. Women are incapable of loving men in a way that a man idealizes is possible, in a way he thinks she should be capable of. In the same respect that women cannot appreciate the sacrifices men are expected to make in order to facilitate their imperatives, women can't actualize how a man would have himself loved by her. It is not the natural state of women, and the moment he attempts to explain his ideal love, that's the point at which his idealization becomes her obligation. Our girlfriends, our wives, daughters, and even our mothers are all incapable of this idealized love. As nice as it would be to relax, trust, and be vulnerable, upfront, rational, and open, the great abyss is still the lack of any capacity for women to love men as men would like them to. For the plugged-in beta, this aspect of awakening is very difficult to confront, even in the face of constant, often traumatic, controversion to what a man hopes will be his reward for living up to qualifying for a woman's love and intimacy. He'll still hold on to that Disney-esque ideal. It's very important to understand that this love archetype is an artifact from our earliest feminized conditioning. It's much healthier to accept that it isn't possible and live within that framework. If she's there, she's there. If not, oh well. She's not incapable of love in the way she defines it. She's incapable of love as you would have it. She doesn't lack the capacity for connection and emotional investment. She lacks the capacity for the connection you think would ideally suit you. The resulting love that defines a long-term couple's relationship is the result of coming to an understanding of this impossibility and reimagining what it should be for men. Men have been, and should be, the more dominant gender, not because of some imagined divine right or physical prowess, but because on some rudimentary psychological level, we ought to realize that a woman's love is contingent upon our capacity to maintain that love in spite of a woman's hypergamy. By order of degrees, hypergamy will define who a woman loves and who she will not, depending upon her own opportunities and capacity to attract it. Men in love. I once had a woman ask me this innocuous question in a comment thread. Can men really not tell when a woman doesn't love them? As would be expected, the male responses to this and her follow-up comments range from mild annoyance of her naivete to disbelief of her sincerity with regards to her want to know. However, her wonderment as to whether men did in fact know when a woman doesn't love them, I think, carries more weight than most guys, even manosphere men, realize. So I'll recount my comments and the discussion here. Can men really not tell when a woman doesn't love them? No, they can't. Why? Because men want to believe that they can be happy and sexually satisfied and appreciated and loved and respected by a woman for who he is. It is men who are the real romantics, not women. But it is the grand design of hypergamy that men believe it is women who are the romantic ones. Hypergamy, by its nature, defines love for women in opportunistic terms, leaving men as the only objective arbiters of what love is for themselves. So yes, men can't tell when a woman doesn't love them, because they want to believe women could love them in the ways they think they could. One man responds, "All right, I keep hoping your rule number 6 is wrong, but it hasn't proven to be." So is the big lie that men miss, not that women can provide this, but that we don't invest this energy into fellow men, that we don't find men we can be vulnerable with, so that we are emotionally prepared for the trials that women will create in our homes. Is this why so many women tend to isolate their husbands or boyfriends from their male friends early on in marriage or dating? Presuming this woman was genuinely confused, and I'm half inclined to think she is, this is exactly the source of her confusion. Women's solipsism prevents them from realizing that men would even have a differing concept of love than how a woman perceives love. Thus her question, can men really not tell when a woman doesn't love them? I don't necessarily think it's a big lie. It's just a lack of mutuality on either gender's concept of love. If it's a lie at all, it's one men prefer to tell themselves.